I just want to say, first of all, that you're watching what was the end of my Game 7 in the NBA Finals against the Miami Heat. I think I was Cleveland. No, I was Minnesota in this one. It's a really, really good game. It's the best game I've ever played. It's my favorite. So, I hope you enjoy it. Um, how to begin? I became a fan of this team when I was about 12 years old, and I said, I'm going to start following some football. I'm going to try and follow football. And what I did was I sat down with a list of the NFL teams. I didn't look at anything from their history or their rosters or their stats or how good they were. I just looked at the team and location and the logo, and I picked a team. It was like, I don't remember where I found it. I just looked up like list of NFL teams, and I don't remember the specific day, but I like there was I found a website with a list with the logo and the team name. And Alabama, the state I live in, didn't have a team, and I said, "Oh, well, I was born, not far from Texas, and I like, I don't remember anything about Texas, but I kind of like the whole. I don't like the anti-American atmosphere, but I like a lot of things about Texas, especially stuff like westerns. And I saw that their mascot was the Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys, and I said, I guess I'll just start rooting for them. Little did I know that this would become a bond that was so strong and yet so painful. They've done they've let me down much more than they've ever done anything for me, and a lot of people look at Dallas as being a bandwagon team just because they're considered America's team. They're the most popular team, and they're also one of the most winningest teams. Well, again, I didn't know that when I signed on, and for me, this team hasn't done shit. They haven't won anything significant for me. They haven't. I know they have 5 Super Bowls, but to me, people can say your team has 5 Super Bowls. You can't complain. But for me, they haven't won anything. That's ancient history to me. That's before I was born. So it's like, man, and another thing, it's one thing for my team to not be great. It's another thing entirely for them to be doing what they're doing now, which is just it's just such a tease. That's all it is. I mean, I watched this team for years, and I slowly start to realize this team actually has some really good pieces around it. And I said, if they can start playing effectively and up their game, they can beat anyone. And then they had those 3 8-8 seasons in a row, missed the playoffs by 1 game at the end of every single season. And I mean, I wasn't too pissed off when they missed the playoffs. I mean, I wish they had made it, but the reason I wasn't that mad was because I didn't feel like they could do anything in the playoffs. I thought, yeah, they'll get a game, and that'd be cool to watch, one more game, but I never thought they could win a Super Bowl or anything. But this Cowboys team, I feel like they really, really can, and that's what really hurts. Like last year's team, I sincerely thought they were a serious threat to win a Super Bowl. I thought they were that good, and I still stand by that. But what I've seen is something that's woken me up, and that is that the Cowboys are a two-trick pony. They have Tony Romo and they have Dez Bryant to make plays. And I see that now. Does that mean they can't win a Super Bowl with that? Not necessarily. If everyone steps up, you could always have a good game. But the problem that I have is that do you think the Patriots would be doing this bad if Brady and Gronk both got hurt? Do you think the Packers would do this bad if Rodgers got hurt? I don't think so, and that's because I feel like those are overall stronger teams. And it's like, I feel like this Cowboys team with Romo healthy and Dez healthy, if they all play their A game, I think they can beat anyone. I really, really do. I really think there's no team in the country that I think has a 100% chance of beating the Cowboys. And it's not just an any given Sunday percentage of chance. I'm talking, I think I give them a chance against anyone, a serious chance, not just like an upset chance. But I'm starting to realize that this team is actually pretty weak. And but when I say that, I don't mean they can't make the playoffs weak. I don't mean they can't. I still think this team could win a Super Bowl the way they are. and yet it's still so shaky. And even though I still feel that way, they're not quite as good as I thought they were. And I'll explain real quick why. First of all, we have zero depth at quarterback. That's one thing, and I won't address that. That's obvious. But number two is no one in the offense at all stepped up. And I mean no one. No one at all. Did McFadden step up? Sort of, I guess, but then the coaches decided not to run him when he's running well. And that's cost us points, possibly cost us games. The quarterbacks don't step up, obviously. The O-line, I'm sorry, they've been getting blown off the ball a lot of times. I don't know. I guess it's still a good O-line, but it's not like last year where they were bullying people. They're getting beat a lot. And I know McFadden's not DeMarco Murray, but I don't know. That's the thing about last year is we had a better running back, in all honesty. And that's just one thing about it. And I said the defense was very underrated, and in a lot of ways they are, as far as they don't allow many points. But then at the same time, it's like there have been times during this 6-game losing streak where I've needed the defense to win us the game. The Eagles game, stop them defense. The Saints game, stop them defense. The Seahawks game, stop them defense, and they can't do it. I know they've stopped them from scoring points. If they hold them to that many points, and we had Romo, I feel like we would be 8-1 now, 7-1. I'm not sure what our record would. I'm getting the number of games mixed up, but we'd only have one loss right now, and it hurts. But at the same time, I'm thinking, if this team's seriously going to compete for a Super Bowl, they have to win these games. They have to win these close games, and now I'm starting to wonder if we really could. Or, I mean, I don't know. It's like, again, I feel like this team could still, but they're just shaky. They're not as good as I thought, and it's really disappointing. And this hurts more than anything else, just because it's one thing to see them mediocre. It's another thing to know that they can be so good, and then for them to do stuff like this. And that shows you how important Romo is. And best case scenario, Romo comes back, we get hot, and when we go to the playoffs, and I still say if we're in the playoffs, we have a chance to run the table. I really think we do. But I'm starting to think that we're not even going to make the playoffs because this team has zero depth and zero, with the exception of Des Bryant, who's been out for most of this streak. There's no one who's willing to step up on this team. No one. One of our most clutch players gets hurt every time someone flicks him on the football field. I mean, I don't think the guy's faking his injuries, but Sean Lee is frail. He is frail. He needs to retire before he gets seriously hurt. He got his second concussion of the year tonight, and he just needs to stop, I guess. And it's sad, and I don't know. It's like the Cowboys are America's team, and then they're like, they're representing an America that's wanting to deport people, and just that's not the America I like to think about. I like to think of these aren't the same people in Washington today who had the Statue of Liberty put up in the New York Harbor for immigrants to see it as a beacon of hope. These aren't the same people. They're wanting to take that away from people and take their liberty away. People who are trying to have better lives for their families. And speaking of deportations, I started reading the Diary of Anne Frank about a week and a half ago. And I only read it for a few days, but I read about 30 pages or so. And I'm loving it. It was legitimately, sincerely, the most fun I've had doing anything in a long time was reading that, and I was getting so into it. But then I haven't read the diary at all in a week, and I don't know why. I mean, I have a reason for Monday through Friday of last week not reading it, but I haven't read it at all this weekend. I kind of had another reason this weekend, but you just have to wonder, when are the reasons going to stop? When is it going to be a point? When's it going to reach a point where it's my fault for not reading the Diary of Anne Frank? And, there are also people who deny that she even existed, which is a very insulting thing, a very disgraceful thing to think. Anne Frank was certainly real, and based on her diary entries, she was a unique and beautiful human being, and it's horrible that she had to die the way she did. It's horrible that any of them died the way they did. And speaking of unique and beautiful human beings, but this one really isn't real. I've just been struggling with these thoughts for the last couple of years, and this is hard for me to think about, just because it's tearing me apart because these are things that I hold near and dear to me. But Studio Ghibli, I love that film studio, and it's terrific, but I think I'm lying to myself, and I don't think I am, but I could be. And what I mean is, there are two films that I consider to be their best. Those are Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke, I think, is technically his best film. It's technically probably the greatest animated film ever made, and it's just a terrific film. But Spirited Away was one of my favorite childhood films, and it's got loads of nostalgia for me. And the fact that it's also a technically brilliant film is also great. So I've struggled with which one I like more, and which one might actually, I love Ghibli so much, it'd be awesome for me to know what my favorite Ghibli film is. And it was Spirited Away for years and years, but Mononoke's crept up. But then I have to think, and this is really, really hard for me, I have to think, Kiki's Delivery Service. That's not one that a lot of people put up there with Mononoke and Spirited Away, but that movie just does something to me. It warms my heart. It touches me deep, deep down. It speaks to me in some subtle, beautiful way. And Kiki, in a lot of ways, is how I would envision Anne Frank being, which is idealistic and headstrong, but at the same time hiding hidden insecurities and trying to break free of them. And I guess in a lot of ways that's how I see myself, although I don't think I'm quite as, I don't know, I mean, when I say riddled with insecurities, I'm not an insecure person where I walk around day to day doubting myself or having these issues, but I'm talking about mainly with like life stuff, big stuff. Like, Kiki moves out on her own and she faces all these problems and they kind of bring her down, and I feel like I might be the same way. But then I think maybe everyone's the same way, and I think everyone is the same way. So it's not necessarily that I have these personal insecurities, but I have insecurities about certain things, And Kiki has those too, and that might be one of the ways that it touches me because I feel like it's speaking to me at a particular time in my life. And it's just more effective that way. And I think it may speak to a lot of people. Again, it's not that I have this issue, but it's just typical, growing up anxiety, I guess. It's not even anxiety. I don't even lose sleep over it. It's just, when I can think about it, and it just, I don't know. But I guess I can sort of relate to how Kiki's feeling, although I haven't actually gone through what Kiki goes through, but I guess I could see myself going through what she's going through and having the same mindset as her and having the same challenges as her. I guess that's one reason why it's so powerful, but I think it also extends beyond that. I think it just touches me in a special way, and it's beyond what a physical or actual description. I can't analyze why it touches me the way it does. It just does. And even though I think I can relate to Kiki, and that might be a big reason why, I just think it goes beyond that. It's something deeper than that. And that's why I think it could be my favorite Ghibli film. But I can't say for sure, and I really don't know if it seriously is. But if I go through the whole process of having to erase every Ghibli film from my memory except for one, I really don't know which one I'd keep. I really don't. And that disturbs me because Spirited Away was my favorite for so long, and then Mononoke finally caught up. But now I'm thinking it could be Kiki's Delivery Service because, well, as much as I love Spirited Away and Mononoke, Kiki just does something to me. But just because it does something to me doesn't necessarily mean it's my favorite, I mean, favorite's like a whole package deal. And there are, like, Spirited Away is a more fun film than Kiki to watch. But I don't know. But I just don't get it, And wow. I just look at the world around me, and sometimes I feel like it's going in the right direction, and then other times I just don't know. I mean, my friend got ants in his goldfish crackers, and I'm just thinking, what if we're all goldfish crackers and a box of goldfish crackers? Let's say the world is a box of goldfish crackers, and ants are getting in our box. And what if the ants are like issues or troubles that bother us and affect us and challenge us? Can we overcome those ants? I just don't know. I just don't know.